Oh, there you are, Yen. The familiar groggy voice of my significant other leaves me behind, and I can hear the surprise in his words when he sees the other person standing just a few feet in front of me. Tetsu? He questions, and I can practically hear his head tilt with the words. Well, thank you for walking me home, Tetsu. See you around. I dismiss before quickly turning and coming face to face with the soldier sporting a crazy mop of black rooted bedhead. It's no problem, Yin. I enjoyed the walk. Tetsu replied as I take a moment to look over my soldier, waking appearance. He seemed to have been in the process of rubbing the sleep from his eyes when he met, but paused when he hears the guard's words, his crimson brows furrowing as he sends me a questioning look. He's half naked. I can feel a slight blush creeping up on my face as my features of my eyes immediately trailed down, and seemed he wrapped one of the small blankets around his waist before opening the door. Thank heavens. It takes me a second to notice his furrowed brows and the tense in his shoulders. He was growing distinct and upset, probably over the fact that I had returned late at night with, another man. After glancing back at the guy behind me, Eijiro sent me a look, questioning, and clearly hurt by my possibility. My expression immediately softens. I place my hands on his forearm, slightly reassuring him with a glance that said, I'll tell you about it later, before ducking past and trotting into the darkness of the room. The light from the hallway continues to pour into our room, pushing and creating some shadows from the entrance as Eijiro continues to stand there. I want to turn around and corner leading to our bed, my head peeking out as I paused and looked back to the redhead. Red, are you coming? I called out. His back is still to me, and he moves off from leaning against the doorframe, clearing his throat and glancing over his shoulder for a second. I'll come in a second. You can go to sleep. It's late. He inquires, pausing as I nod as I climb into bed, laying down and pulling the covers up over me. Time skip. Third person. After hearing a creak from the bed and following rustling of sheets moving about, Eijiro closes the door behind him, with a light click, turning to the guard with his arms crossed over his bare chest. So why'd Yin come back to you? He wonders, not meaning to really state his question with such a tone, but he couldn't really hide his uncomfortable stature at the moment. And he needs answers. I saved her from the bounty hunters sent by the League. Tetsu briefly explains, his original collective demeanor falling as he sighed and ran a hand through his gray locks. This caused the ex-soldier to pause, his eyes widening slightly with surprise and imminent panic as he turned and went to open the door to dash back into the room and check on his significant other. The only thing that stopped him from even turning the handle was a quick hand on his shoulder. Dude, it's okay. I've already looked her over for injuries, Tetsu states, hoping to ease his friend's conscience. With a blink, Eijiro turned back to meet the bashful, sharp-toothed grin from the guard, his hand reacting after patting his broad shoulder once. Jeez, man, I heard you betrayed everyone for her, but I guess I now know why you did. He points out with a light chuckle, nudging his worried friend. Is that what they're saying? Eijiro asks, voice lowered and down, yet he spotted a light hue of color among his features, glancing away and avoiding eye contact. And what do you mean by that? He continues as Tetsu rolls his dark eyes, using a hand to gesture up and down at the soldier's tone and, half-naked body. Do you seriously just walk out of your guys' joined room naked, basically, and she's spotting bite marks that could put shark attacks to shame? He informs with a deadpan, recalling the shock of seeing Yin's visible neck and collar littered with tiny little imprints. This causes the soldier's face to flush further, hues of crimson now dancing along his cheeks as he brought his hand up to cover his mouth, while he cleared his throat in embarrassment. I've gotten a little carried away, he comments, causing the guard to let out a little snicker. A little? I thought she was attacked by someone else for a second there. Tetsu boasts, and after a few seconds, the gray-haired soldier laughing at his friend clearly embarrassed features. Eijiro finally perks up upon pressing his friend's previous words. Actually, now that I look at you, I'm betting she was attacked by someone else, huh? Wait, what? Back to the whole thing on why we're even here. She was attacked by the League. The redhead finally asks, his eyes widening with worry. Tetsu had paused his laughing fit to look up at his friend, clearing his throat and nodding as the tension through the two shifted and thickened. Those bounty hunters are probably after you again. He thinks out loud, sighing as he last of his giggles finally subsided. You need to be careful, man. I tried taking down as many of your posters as possible, but to do it subtly here is hard. But what if they're after Yen? What happened? Kirishima's brain had been twisted into thoughts, with none of them pleasant towards his other friend. That's the thing. I don't know what happened. Tetsu exclaims, a hint of frustration entering his vocals due to his limited knowledge. We were on patrol and I heard a shout from the alleyway and Yin was being attacked by two. Remember the fire mage? The one sprouting blue flames was one of them. He points out, and Kirishima briefly nods with the information. I didn't get a good look at the other one, but he let out a crazy amount of magic, and I was too busy protecting Yin while they escaped. The guard continued. Did Yin say anything on the way back? Eijiro wonders, recrossing his arms to try and relax the tense in his muscles, as Tetsu shakes his head. I think she was still in a little shock for the most of it, and the only thing I could really get nota on was it was the League. The redhead glanced away and thought. At that, his brows furrowed, staying knitted together as Tetsu watched him in silence. Just be careful, man. Something's going on, and everyone's on edge about it. The guard finally inquired, his gaze softening as he watched his clearly worried friend. Glancing up and snapping out of his thoughts, Eijiro offered him a short nod in understanding. Right, thanks for the help, he replies finally. You should probably get inside, comfort your lover, and let them know if she remembers anything more discreditable about the encounter. Tetsu teases lightly, his sly, sharp-toothed grin returning and causing the soldier to nod in agreement. Right. Eijiro couldn't help but smile just a bit at the tilt of the guard that had referred to Yin with, It was good seeing you again, man. Yeah, even though you look like you're wanting to kill me half the time. The guard joked, recalling all the moments he caught the redhead glaring daggers into his skull just for talking with Yen. Eijiro let out another embarrassed chuckle at that, uncrossing one of his arms to stretch the back of his head sheepishly. Sorry. Next time, let's go train and catch up, okay? Tetsu offers, reaching his hand out, and the redhead immediately claps his hand with his, little sparks spurting outwards as they both use their quirks to meet in the middle. Hell yeah. They both sported the same sharp-toothed grin along their features, finally bidding their goodbyes and farewells after the soldier goes in to open the door to restrain his room. Tetsu calls out to him from a few feet away as another thought perks in his mind. Oh, I almost forgot, he alerts, capturing the redhead's attention. Midoriya's squad passed through here not too long. Said to give you a message if I see you. He brings up, causing Eijiro to pause his actions and look over his shoulder to see his friend in confusion. What is it? The redhead questions, voice suddenly more timid towards the mention of the group. Meet us at Sparrow's Rest, the guard repeats. They're supposed to be staying there and leaving in 2 days from now, so you just might be there in time. Tetsu informs, nodding towards the black roots, showing with the diminishing red on Eijiro's head. I don't know, man. The soldier's voice trails off as he glances downwards. I know how Midoriya can be, but after the whole stun I was pulling during the attack, it's Midoriya. He's the most forgiving person on this planet. Tetsu cut off in with a scoff. We both know you can trust him. If anything, he's safer than confronting that barbarian you usually work with. Eijiro had already pictured on Bakugo, probably took the whole situation, and with a slight ease smile, he nodded towards Tetsu's words of fair. Sparrow's Rest, right? he repeated, making sure he got the name right, and Tetsu nods in confirmation before waving and turning to walk away. Go get your hair all fixed up and tidy. First person. I heard the ruckus through the muffled voices of the two, their conversation too muttered for me to actually make out what they had been saying to warrant the fit of chuckles. Finally, the door clicks and creaks open, alerting me that the two had finished conversating as a light from the hallway floods into the front of the room, the hall shielding our bed away from the light, keeping the shadows on me before Eijiro closes the door behind him, and my eyes watch and catch the figure rowing the corner. He pauses to look at me, his crimson eyes catching my eye-colored ones for a moment. You're still awake? Eijiro questions, watching me nod before walking around to the side of the bed. Seems like you two are getting along well. I comment, watching as he nears before lifting the blanket up and opening my arms out for him, waiting for him to dive into my embrace like usual. Seeing my little display, he lets out a sigh before climbing into the bed and shuffling under the blankets with me. But I'm surprised when he doesn't cuddle into me. Instead, my crimson-haired lover sits between my legs, his hands planted against my pillow, muscular forearms, caging me in. From my slightest pin position, I glance up at him and tilt my head in questioning. Eijiro? He's just staring down at me, his half-lidded gaze running along my face before fixating on my neck. Why'd you have to come back with him? Eijiro wonders beneath his breath. I can feel the pillow beneath me shift as he raises his hand and idly tugs the blouse sleeve, pulling it down just enough to expose my shoulder. What? I blink. No. He was just walking me home. I went out because I thought my quirk was working, and I try to defend, but my breath hitches as he leans down, lightly biting my shoulder. A tense had filled the air as he pulled back, dragging his tongue along the new mark and erasing the additional pain he inflicted. As something tells me, my explanation won't be fully heard until tomorrow morning.